welcome to Untold Hong Kong Stories, multimedia narratives from the margins. This is a podcast series where we hear the stories of people in our community, from Hong Kong's non-Chinese locals to marginalized members of our community. We hope that by sharing their stories, we can think about the way we live ours and create a more inclusive and diverse society. I'm Dr. François Mouillot from the Department of Humanities and Creative Writing at the Hong Kong Baptist University. And our guest for today's podcast is Danny Kong, a musician and video game industry worker from Togo and Hong Kong. Here, he shares his story.
My name is Danny Kong, full name. I'm an artist. Also, my artist name is Saikong, S-A-I-K-O-N-G, Kong, which is my half African name and my Chinese last name, which is put together. Where I'm from, I am mixed. Where per se my name, I am half, pretty a lot of mixed though. I'm half African. Born in Liberia, but raised from my mother from Sierra Leone and Togo, right? And then and I'm half Chinese also. Yeah, pretty mixed everywhere, and also have a Arab blood, but let's not get to that. Been multicultural for a while. Who am I? I am just a guy that is full of passion and that just love to deliver the greatest energy as much as I can to the world, with as much positivity I can spread to. That's who I am, what I am. What I do, I work as, beside doing music on the daily, or producing, engineering, DJing, I work in games. So I work we're producing a game. I work for this company called Apron. We do Web3 games and everything. So yeah, beside that, that's pretty much what I can say who I am and what I am.
Were you born in Hong Kong, or you mentioned that your mom was from Sierra Leone, or maybe I missed it?
Yeah. So my mom is pretty mixed. Okay. She's actually mixed, Liberian and Lebanon.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, she's there. But I was born in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
Because of the civil war in the 90s, I think my family moved me to Togo. So I grew up in Togo. Had a whole life in Togo, so you know what I'm saying. So yeah. And then from there, that's where life begins, I guess.
So when did you move from Togo to Hong Kong?
2010. 2010, yeah. It was in 2010 I came to Hong Kong. I think I was 14 when I came here.
Let me ask a big question.
Any questions, feel free.
About specifically, how do you feel about Hong Kong? Is it home to you?
I get asked that question a lot, and I've always found that question very interesting. When I first came to Hong Kong, of course, getting to know the city and seeing how different it is compared to where I came from, which is Togo, it's very different. You know, you can't compare Africa and Asia. It's like two different things, two different cities, two different cultures, and everything is just so different. You know, I remember first time coming here in Hong Kong and being in class. And seeing class and see how school class was different, you know, being a schoolmate, everything was different, you know. Back home, I had to be in class, everything is just the people and everything just feels very different. But along the years, going along the way, getting to know the city, getting to fall in love with the city, I call this today my home because I think everybody can say that they can find a piece of comfort in this city. And once you find that piece of comfort, it will just never let you go. There's just something about the city that just draw you to, that makes you feel like at home, you know. And yeah, to me, Hong Kong is home, and because I'm not just because I'm half Chinese, but that's because I lived here and experienced the life here, especially getting older, to know that okay, yeah, this is home. You know, I will be home if anything happened in the world. I would like to be in Hong Kong.
You mentioned, I think, an interesting term or way of putting it, which is a piece of comfort.
A piece of comfort, yeah.
What is that piece of comfort? Or maybe there's several pieces of comfort.
Right. So if in the piece of comfort, it's something that makes me feel at home. I'm not sure how someone would describe at home, but to me, at home it's a place where you have a peace of mind. Home is a place where you know people, where you have people that you love one, and where you grow to build relationship with people. And to me, that's what a home was. That's what Hong Kong is to me. It's a place where I found myself a peace of mind. It's crazy. It's a lot happening. It's stressful. It's a busy city, but despite the midst of everything happening in the fogness, you still can find that shed of light that makes you feel like, well, this is home. This is my place. This is my country, Yeah.
And then I also want to ask, as a result, I mean, I'm asking about Hong Kong, but I'm interested also in about your relationship to the place you were born, in Sierra Leone, and where you spend a lot of time, then Togo. How do you relate to those places? Are they home as well?
Home. Like I said, home is not one place. Home is where the heart is, right? Not just the heart, but the mind. Home is where the heart and the mind is, right? And to me, I think both places, I've never really made a debate to myself where this is home or this is not home, and that to me both places home, because I found comfort both in both the different way. They're both different in different ways. I cannot, when I go back home in Africa, I find the way livelihood there is very different. Style of living is different. So there's a sense of, okay, where I can find my comfort, where I can say like this is home, and I call it home because of the people, my family, and there's just the passion of it. Everything, it made me who I am. It made me culturally, growing up, getting my ass whooped by my family, my parents when you do something. So all of those, like, just everything happening in just one country just makes me who I am. So that is home, because that's where I grew my childhood up. Everything went up. Come to Hong Kong and made a new life of me, and this was a different version of me, a different teenager of me, and then I'm like, oh wow, okay, now this is home too. So yeah, I'm telling you, like it's I've had a lot of talk with people where this is a debate to, like, where's home, what is home, why is this not home? But I think home can never be just one place.
I think what you're describing about home is also it's very much about the heart, right?
It is.
For some people, sometimes a home is also where they have the right to be, right? Like, I'm French, right, for example. I also feel home in Hong Kong, and at the same time, I think that I have a sense of home in different places because I have some experiences there, sometimes because I have a status there, right? For example, I have a French passport, which I feel in my particular case, feel like even if I never go back to France ever, the fact that I have that, that
it's still home.
It's a connection to that place. I like the way in which you basically
there's just certain things you could just never change.
Yeah,
and then there's one thing. It's just when you call a place home, I think every human do describe a place home according to where their mind and, like, in their heart would settle. And that's for me. To me, my heart has always been settled between both places. Two places I can never choose from because they're both different in their own ways. You can never compare the way of living in Hong Kong to a way of living back home. You can never compare to living back home to living back home here. So it's two different things. It's just very different.
Yeah, sure.
But the difference is what makes us accept your fate. And that love. If I can say personally that word. Yeah.
So home is love.
Home is love. Yeah, home is where you get love, and if you don't get love, you're not going to call it home, right?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, love is family, love is everything, so.
Thanks for that. Could you please share maybe 2 or 3 significant events that you feel have shaped who you are?
Right, I cannot say a specific event. I would say the journey. That's the journey. I mean, to be honest with you, it's the journey. And that's what matters the most. Because an event cannot change a whole person, but a journey does to me. That's what I believe. So I think to me, the journey or the process of going through things, for example, let's say going, for example, my music, for example, all the experiences that I've gotten in going out there, trying to find shows, doing shows with my group 707. So I have this group 707, which is very different cultures. We're all a group of guys from different countries: Philippines, Colombia, Tanzania, Indian, and we're all like very group. And we came together 10 years ago, and the idea is that we all love music. We all love to rap, so let's all rap together and start doing shows according to that. And I think the idea of being with different people from different cultures and embracing them and learning that, it taught me to be open, being free and open in that there are different people on this earth. And that's one of the biggest things that shaped me, having these guys in my life. So I'll start with, first significant thing is people. The people that came in my life that has done a lot of significant things, and those people are mostly people I met. In Hong Kong, for example, is people from different cultures, different places, like just like you, meeting you and being in a restaurant and having that small experience of talking, and then you meet the person a couple of years later, and that person is... So really, it's really all this experience that I can say. But yeah, I can say that that's one thing, is the people. Secondly was where I put my shoes in. Meaning where I stepped in, every places I stepped. So I guess when I stepped in, I'm always trying my best to get educated from somebody, and that's where I learned about myself, is where you learn to look at your surrounding left, right, and learn from these moments, learn from anybody's mistakes, somebody who can hurt you, somebody who can try to stab you, or somebody who can be there for you, or something, any sort of thing that can just happen over in a period of that journey in that life. Yeah, that's one big thing. And the third thing, wise men. Being younger, I've always liked to hang around with older people. Pretty much their journey and seeing them talking about their journey, and so that made me shape my life in how I want to live and how I want to see myself in the next 10 years, you know. Seeing somebody older than me who could talk about, for example, talking about just being married, you know, and his life to be married and all that. You're like, oh, okay. Slowly meeting different people older people that talks about it. You're like, okay, you start developing an attitude of seeing things differently.
I can relate to the question of marriage myself. It took me a long time to sort of like, you know, understand what it could be.
Yeah, you know,
and then to get into it.
Older people are like the best people that you can grab that wisdom from, you know, and so I can say that I will use the third significant thing is wise men. Always listen to the wise. Yeah.
So, who are some significant people, places, or wise men?
There's a lot. You know, so I'm gonna say, let me speak in the sense of being in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, it will be a lot of people that I've been with. Meaning, for example, start with the first one is friends. Friends, right? So you meet different friends. You choose your friends, right? And you choose who you are with. They say who you are with makes you who you are. What you surround yourself with makes you who you are. So I guess those first steps is those friends, those people that I hang out with. They made me who I am. You know, just being them, catching that energy and floating with them every day. Secondly, will be the people who taught me. That will be professors, teachers. You know, going to school, and they may have looked like they have not taught me nothing, but they have taught me a lot about maybe life. You know, just I may say maybe what I learned about math and everything I didn't really care about, like, I mean, growing up,
itself, yeah.
But just the way the attitude, the way they contain themselves, I think you've learned from that, the way you watch them. So it's really that. And the thirdly is the silent people that you never speak to or you never say nothing to, but you've only watched them. And these are the people, like, you know, like, have you ever had an older uncle or older friends or older people who just sit down and talk with you, and then you just look into their life, watch into their life, and then along the way you just being there with them, but then that's teaching you a lot. Yeah, that's
the kind of people that you observe.
Yeah, you observe. Yeah, you know, observe. It's to me, yeah, that's again, like I said, you become where you are or who you surround yourself with. You know, like there was a saying back home. They used to say, "Hey, if you grow up in the jungle, you'll be Tarzan."
Yeah. So it is about the environment.
It is really about the environment. That's why I say the environment between being back in Africa, back in Togo, and being in Hong Kong. Really, those environments shaped me, maybe who I am, because it wouldn't be impossible without. Like, I think I was telling this to my friend the other day. I think if I grew up and stayed in Togo, I would be somebody different. If I stayed and grew my older there. If I was born in Hong Kong and grew up in Hong Kong, I'll be somebody else totally different. I would not be this person I am today. And it makes sense because I've met so many other mixed people just like me, and I've seen them grow up. I know one mixed guy who's Blasian just like me, and he grew up in Africa. I know one guy who grew up in Hong Kong. And looking at these two guys is like, whoa, okay, these guys are very different. And it just makes sense, you know, like just the surrounding and where they are and how they grew up with. Yeah, it made them who they are today.
Is there like some, I guess, precise or aspects of who you are or your life that you feel you can directly link to Togo or to Hong Kong, for example?
Yeah, there is definitely. Well, for Hong Kong, I wish I could speak Cantonese. My biggest thing. But for me, Togo, it's, I guess, my passion for things. Being very romantic, always on the agitated and stuff. I guess I got that flow being over there. Being in Hong Kong, I think learning how to be calm, learning how to like handle situation, mental way of thinking things. Okay. Yeah,
so really almost kind of like two sides of the same coin, right? Like on the one hand you say you got the passion from Togo, and at the same time the calm.
But that's because of the age. Because the age I came to Hong Kong, I think I came to Hong Kong and I was 15, 16. So then I'm more like teenager. I'm started thinking more like So and back home I was there more since I was born till I was 14, 15. So it was more like just. The young kid just enjoying around, going through life. It's pretty much so.
I can understand that. And so how, I'm going back to music a little bit because you mentioned it, and also that's how we got chatting in the first place, I think. How did music come into your life?
Music has always been in my life, man. Since I cannot tell you since how old I was. I've been obsessed with music. Since I was a kid, I would be see myself singing a roof, sing myself with, but then I think I took it seriously when I came to Hong Kong. Actually, when I came to Hong Kong, I think I took it very seriously. We went to high school and met a free friend, and then we had a band. We started with a band, and then from there, I started learning how to learn instruments, and then we get into rock, all type of genre. So. Music is the same thing, just like my life, because the way it's open and the way it's diverse, it makes me feel like that's what my life is. My life is so diverse. And then getting to that journey, I got to go along the way. I got into making music with different people, jazz here and there, gospel, and then after that,
all this in Hong Kong.
Mostly. I mean, and then after that, I went there and I started doing hip hop. Started DJing and then doing shows. Yeah, it's pretty much that's the experience I got in music in Hong Kong. Like, if I can sum it up.
So if I get it right, like the passion of music and the urge to do music has always been there, or at least as long as you can remember. But then it sort of became more concrete, I guess, when you came to Hong Kong and you started to meet different people. That got you into different sort of...
Yeah, because back home is not... Of course, I was still 12, 13, 14, so it's more like I was just, just having fun with it, and when I came to Hong Kong, I was still just having fun with it. Of course, I'm in high school, just having fun with the friends, but then of course, every boy has a dream. You dream yourself being on a big stage and all that, right? So those were the dream, being young and all that. I think that dream and that passion is what kept me alive till this very day. Because, again, like going forward through the years, being in Hong Kong, it's difficult. Why will I say that? It's because Hong Kong is such a busy city. It can take away people's dream. Of course, it's a business city. People go roam around, but I think it's as long as you keep your passion alive, discipline your passion to really want this and all this, and I think it will happen for anybody.
Would you say that you're pursuing a career in music in Hong Kong, or you would like to?
I've been pursuing a career in Hong Kong for a long time, so I've been in the scene of music for a long time. I'm not focused on the full Hong Kong scene because I don't make music in Chinese, because if I did make music in Chinese, it would make sense, right? Same thing like in France. I would not make music in English, right? It just doesn't make sense. So so for that, as a person who's only speaking English, I had to look at it in a different perspective of what skills that is good that I have. Okay, I'm good at this. I'm good at this, and people like it when I do this. Okay, I'm gonna do that. This is where I'm gonna focus. Okay, I'm good at emceeing. I'm good at hosting. People, that's okay. I'm gonna focus on doing that, and this is where I'm gonna go. And pretty much, I think there's a way in every wave.
Right. There's the question of language that is in there, and I can relate as well as a non-Cantonese speaker living in Hong Kong. Like it reduces basically the city for you. Like the city sort of becomes a little bit more
smaller, much smaller.
Exactly, much smaller because there's so many places or so many things that you can't really participate in.
People, you don't feel everything's smaller. Yeah.
Do you think that there's a place for you doing non-Cantonese music in Hong Kong?
In Hong Kong, no. Because I've been in the scene for so long. I've done shows here and there, and I've done big shows and all that. And at the end of the day, you would just, especially during COVID time, you know, I came to a realization like, hey, you know what? I'm rapping in English. I'm making music. I'm singing in English. It doesn't make sense. Like, I get it. Everybody may love me because of my hype, because of what I can deliver, but the music will not live forever. The soul of the music will not live forever. Why? Because they don't relate to it. And in music, you want something. Everybody wants something that they can relate to. And also make the same thing in France. So I have a lot of friends from France. They told me when I go to France, I cannot do English. I have to speak French. I have to go. So I was like, yeah, okay. It just makes sense. Like, you know, it's not about because they don't like this or don't like that. Just per se, the culture is this. The language. This is the main language, and this is what everybody will relate with if you speak the language. It's like if I go to Philippines, I cannot go and speak French there. Make a French song, right? It will not pop.
So language is kind of like the glue for you to do something.
Yeah, language is what connects us, you know. I mean, language is what we can communicate with each other. Language is what makes us understand each other, you know. Besides understanding each other from eye to eyes or heart to heart, the first thing will always be words, you know, word of mouth. So I think that's the first ultimate things of what makes us human connect. Word of mouth.
You just explained how, you know, the fact that you don't speak Cantonese affects your musical activity in Hong Kong. Is there other ways in which the fact that you're not a Cantonese
I will not
speaker...
say affect.
Okay.
I will not say the word affect because yes, it may I found a way for me, I say personally, I found a way for me to still find a way to get my... I love it how in Hong Kong I still get shows and all this because I can get a crowd hype. And that's amazing for me. I just thank God. That's amazing, the energy. So the one beautiful thing about music is the impact of the energy. It's more powerful than a language, you know. And that's something. One thing I learned in being in Hong Kong music, because I've sat down with people that don't understand English and much, and they just love me rapping and freestyling and just going at it with the whole hours. And then me too, I've sat down with people that just, a lot of Canto rappers or a lot of Canto artists who just sing to me in Canto or rap to me in Canto and freestyle. Of course I don't understand, but I understand.
You relate.
It doesn't make sense.
Connect,
it doesn't
right?
make sense, right? You don't understand. If, for example, we did a cipher where we had Canto, and then we had Hindi, we had Tagalog, and then we had a Nepali. All this, they were rapping all on different culture. It was beautiful because none of us understand each other, but we all understood each other in some way. Like, you know, I understood the form of energy you transfer. I understood the pain that you're talking about. I mean, I understood it clearly, but I know what you're talking about in a sense. So that's the beautiful part about music, and that's the beautiful thing that's helped me in Hong Kong so much is for me in the music. So I would not say it never affect me. The energy of impact is still there.
Yeah, it's quite significant what you're saying. I mean, am I exaggerating if I'm saying that then for you, music has been a way to belong in a place where you don't speak the language?
Yes, in a sense, you know, really, because you know, like we always say, music is a universal language. It's a universal language. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't understand what my language, I don't understand your language. If you put a beat that we both love, we'll dance to it. You know, and once we dance to it, we'll connect to it. We'll connect with each other. You know, that's the beautiful part about it. You know, so there's I mean, in everything in life, like I said, there's a sun and a moon. That means there's a bad and a good. So in every aspect of things.
Right.
Yeah, so
that's a nice way of putting it. So how does gaming sort of like fit into your life at the moment?
Oh, so gaming, that's what I do for work.
Okay.
So it's what I do for work, and it's also what I do because I love playing games, video games and all this. I don't know if you do.
Well, I just got back into it recently. I just bought the latest Zelda.
Oh, okay.
Days ago. I'm losing sleep.
It does that. Did you like the story of Zelda?
Well, I mean, that's a side story. I used to be into it when I was a kid, and then I got out of it. But then these latest games have sort of like looked so interesting and so cool, and I'm so getting back into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, gaming is something I've done always my whole life. I mean, we've all played games and all that, right? So, but for me, it's all, I've been deep into games, like playing any sort of games, create stories, create things that come up. So I've always been a fan of how people develop games, how people develop, like, you know, come up with things that are out of the blue, like, you know, for me to enjoy. You know, how can you be so? It's it's just like music. It's entertaining, it's creative, and it's enjoyable. That's, you know, and it's you don't need much. It's, you know, it's, in a sense, it's a universal language. Gaming, gaming is a universal language. Tetris, I don't need you to understand or me to understand for you to play it, play it and have fun with it. So, in a sense,
and if I can add, it pays the bills.
Yeah, too.
More than music.
Yes, that is also a big fact. The big fact is, of course that. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, in Hong Kong will take you away from the reality. Will make you see reality of things, you know, because bills, your rent is high. Yeah, everything is high. So gotta put food in your stomach, and everything is high. So I mean, once you get to that realization, so being in Hong Kong, I had to take jobs just to keep the music alive. But at the same time, I realized, oh hey, maybe how about I find a job, balance things in my life, and how about I find a job that I quite enjoy. So in every job that I find myself doing in the city, I've find a way to enjoy them. In a sense of, I may not like it, may not be for me, but I want this experience. I may not say that it was for what I was meant to be, right? But I found a way to love it. Meaning, when I mean love it, it means do your best. Do your best at it. Come at it. Don't look at it as just a job. Look at it as you want to gain something from this. And what can I gain from this? For example, restaurant, I found a way to gain was the idea of connecting with people. That's for me as an artist, that essence of connecting with people, being with people, making drinks for me, that with rhythm and everything. To me, that, okay, you know, I find that. All right, now I used to work in a cargo. I don't like carrying things, but the fun of having a song in your head while carrying things and making feel like you're doing rhythm things and all that idea that just kept me want to come back to work and do more and go there. So really, at the end of the day, it's all about perspective of how you want to see things, you know. And I know, like I used to tell this one friend all the time, you know, Hong Kong is a cemetery for dreams.
A cemetery for dreams.
It's a cemetery for dreams. You know, it's a cemetery is the saddest place because it's where so many people have died and no dreams have ever really been realized. And you know, you never know who could have been the greatest writer or the greatest artist or the greatest pianist or the greatest interviewer. Who knows, right? But one thing I do know is I'm not going to allow or let anything or any sort of thing that comes in your life be a reason for my passion to die.
Yeah, that's a really.
It's
hard to do.
Yeah, it is hard to do, man. It's especially, you know, being different culture, and all of people be like, "Why are you still doing music? Why are you still doing that?" But I'm just like, I love it. It's what I see myself doing. It's what I always been doing. So how do I do it without not stopping? How do I do it but then still keeping my reality with it? So, and then my reality, how do I enjoy my reality without letting be like, this is just a job. I'm just doing it just to get paid. I'm just doing just go by, you know. And really, if you do something and you don't enjoy it, might as well just don't do it. Or if you do something and you don't find a sense of learning or progress, just don't do it. Matter of fact, sleep.
So, do you think it's a cemetery of dreams because it's difficult to learn?
No, it's a cemetery of dreams because so many people could have become something, but didn't. I know some people who wants to be writers. They want to write books and all that. But they're so dived into their jobs. For example, I had a friend who's so dived into being a lawyer that every day that's his thing. He has to go pay for his family, of course, pay the rents and everything. Be responsible. That it took away, and then slowly over the years, that passion for writing or even playing guitar was kind of dried out. And as older he gets, the more drain he feels, and that's where it feels like the city drains your dream. That's why I say don't let your passion dry out, because it would drain you slowly. And if you don't know how to keep yourself motivated, keep yourself going, and you find yourself lost. For sure, yeah. So
it's a city for you that where people can easily get lost.
Yeah, you can imagine there's so much happening. Because back in Togo in Africa, the culture difference is obviously there's not so much going on. People are trying to talk about passion, dreams, and people want to play football. Kids want to play football. They go out and play football in here. Here is not really the case.
You used that word already in our conversation, creativity, right? In a way, that's what connects music and gaming. You explained, because gaming is just like music, a kind of creativity. So, what is creativity in your life, do you think?
Creativity is a life.
Okay.
I mean, before you were given life, you had to be creative to be created, right?
That's true.
So, to me, I've always found, never let your creativity die. I feel like creativity is the most important aspect in our life. I mean, even in our jobs and everywhere, you still need to be creative, find forms of things, right? But it comes in different forms. That's the thing about creativity. It comes in different form that you wouldn't. It's not obvious creativity, but I think creativity is part of our everydays. Every day, your mind is creative. Every day, your mind comes up with ideas. Your mind speak of things, or you're thinking of what's next. That's creativity, Yeah. So I think that's what to me that's what creativity is. Creativity is life. It's a form of life.
Makes sense to me. So, do you find it in a way difficult to maintain a creative life in Hong Kong? I mean, I sort of get the sense that that's what you were hinting at earlier when you were mentioning, you've seen people whose dreams have died, and, is that kind of another way of putting it? Is that it's difficult to maintain a creative life in Hong Kong?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not difficult. It's the choice that's difficult. The choices of creativity that's difficult. I think that's creativity will always be there.
So it's not about the place.
Yeah, it's really much. Yes, the place can force you to do things and all that, but every human have a choice, right? So I think it's the choices that we make. It's not like you can go to a job that forces you to take away your creativity and just do this, follow this format, we do this like that, right? But then if you decide to be like, I want to put my creativity in it, and that doesn't work out, you can find other ways of making things work out for yourself, right? So there's a saying, think outside the box when you get to a deep situation, right? Think outside the box, and that's the difficult part. So, yeah.
So it's about being mindful of...
It's being mindful. That's why earlier I said, when you asked me what are the significant things that helped me in life, I said it was my surrounding, me looking around, being in my environment. It was really that, looking at people next to me, how this is working, how that, it's being mindful of everything around you and be like, whoa, okay, this is different. Things are different here. So be mindful of the energy that you're surrounded with. That's the word I'll put it.
Nicely put, I think. And so maybe as a way to wrap things up, do you have any specific goals or hopes that you're pursuing at the moment?
Personally, for me, I hope to become the best version of myself. And that best version of myself is... Why do we say that? It's because a couple of months ago, I looked over a paper that I wrote to myself in high school. It was 15 years ago, I wrote goals of who I was going to become and what I was become. And I saw that piece of paper just the same day in a year where I told myself I would become this, which was today, that year, right? And I'm like, whoa. And I look at it and I'm like, I did not become none of what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But the amazing part is that what I went through and what brought me to where I am right now. So the idea of thinking of, wow, okay, what am I going to become now in the next years? I may say I want this goal, this is what I want. But, life being life would took you around. And, yeah, so I came to realize the only way I can set my goal is being the best version of my present times. Yeah. The energy I spent in my presence is what's going to affect my goal tomorrow, really. Because, again, I can set myself so many goals, and that's coming from myself as an artist, where you set yourself so many goals, and sometimes you can set yourself up for disappointment and things. So I think my biggest goal is just, and I wish everybody also the best, is be the best version of yourself. The key is not to have many goals. It's more is to know yourself. know yourself, know what you want, know where you want to go, be confident in it, and then just walk. You know, and that's it. Because I know a lot of people, friends, people that just have so many goals and they don't know themselves. Or I know people who know themselves but they don't have any goals. So it's like, at the end of the day, you need to balance, you know, find yourself a balance of, you know, if you know yourself, know what you want, the goals will come, you know. Like they say, if you have the vision, the mission will come. You know,
if you have the mission, the vision will come.
If you have the vision, the mission will come. Yeah, but if you have the mission, you will be missing the vision. So, so you know, so it's go here, going there. So at the end of the day, you meet your other half, one way or the other.
Clearly, you have a vision, and I think you would have the vision no matter where you are, and the vision also comes from, you know, this pursuit of trying to know yourself.
Yeah,
clearly.
Yeah. If you're talking about Hong Kong, when you have a vision here, it's obviously your vision, your creativity is wild, right? Now the question is, how am I going to make that vision happen? And that's where you make those steps now, and you really go through becoming the best version of yourself or making that happen. Honestly, with you being in Hong Kong, being culturally different and all that, I would not say, a lot of people say it can be a hindrance, but not really to me. It's maybe a big face, but that's just normal. You go to any other country, it's the same to another person, right? So everybody's different. It's cultured differently. It's grown differently. It has a childhood differently. So the way you would enjoy the city or you would leave where you are, the same way I live in Hong Kong is by changing my perspective of things, you know. So if I see in Hong Kong, for example, I've had so many encounters where, you know, I meet a lot of local people who are very curious or very bad manners or things like this, but I had to just change the way I perspective of how I think, and that is what helped me moving forward in the city. That's because culturally I'm different. The way I grew up is different. The people I'm going to be surrounded with are different, so I have to act and react accordingly to where I am, you know. So, but also the beautiful part about Hong Kong is, yes, there's so many local people, but also there's so many also different people from different countries in Hong Kong. So it's the only place in the world where I can meet you from France. I can meet you. I can meet everybody from different country. Like back in Togo, I would not imagine sitting down and be like, "Hey, are you from India? You're from Colombia? You're from this?" You would not imagine that. So, yeah, this is the beauty about being in Hong Kong. You know, you still get to meet different people and different people that you can connect with. And if you don't, you still meet with. If you surround yourself with local people, I think your behavior and the way you act will be different, but you still like connect. It doesn't really matter. I mean, that's what I think. The city, I would say the city is spoiled with good things, with too many good things, you know. And that's how I put Hong Kong. I feel like as a different person coming from different places and also being part of this city, the city is spoiled, and it has spoiled me too. It can spoil you.
I agree, and I think that's I think you've done like an amazing job at wrapping things up, you know, like being very coherent with what you started to explain at the beginning of our conversation, and then now relating it to the place where you live. It makes a lot of sense. And
yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, you know, you are who you are where you are, you know, so your surrounding makes you who you are. So if you ask anybody, does Hong Kong ever had an impact on you? Nobody can ever say no to that question. You know, it's impossible because Hong Kong will impact you whether you like it or not. You know, That's what I always say. If you come here, just be careful. Watch where you're moving, and you'll be good. You know, watch where you're moving. Look who you're with, and actually that applies to anywhere else you are in the world. You know, whether if you're a white person, a local person that's trying to go to Africa. That's the same advice I would give to you. You know, if I'm trying to go to France, that's the same advice anybody would give to me. You know, you know, that's it. You know, and this is an advice coming from a person who's very open to cultures, very open to anything. So, and I learned that along the way. How being mixed with so many diversity, how can you blend it?